Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the party. We'll try to keep you as entertained as possible, but please bear with us. The topic might be interesting. We'll try our best to make sure you're having fun hearing it already. I'm Igor. I'm with AWS for 5 years, and I work with large-scale customers in Ukraine, in Eastern Europe, and so on. And today we want to tell you the story about how one of our largest customers performed a pretty outstanding thing, very quick and efficient migration. Sergey, it's up to you.
Hi guys, hi free people of the free world. Just came from Ukraine. We're still alive, we're still fighting, and we're not going to give up. So thanks Poland for constant support. We really appreciate that, and together we're strong. Russia has no chances at all, believe me. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the journey of Fozzy Group into the cloud. And first, let's start with a quick recap around who is or what is Fozzy Group. Fozzy Group at the moment is one of the biggest enterprises in Ukraine. Mostly we gravitate around the retail networks. We own second and third largest retail networks, 3.4, and we have a bunch of smaller ones. And we have a lot of different businesses around the retail, including e-commerce, delivery, logistics, manufacturing, agriculture, financial services, and we have a very special business, Temabit, that is our IT business. And in total, we're talking about like 50,000 people, employees, something like that. So the scale is very important for the story because a lot of the problems and the challenges we are attributed to the size. This is the short facts about what we had at the beginning of this journey on our on-prem. As you can see, we have everything in hundreds VMs, hundreds terabytes of data, hundreds applications, a lot of everything. And as any enterprise, there are a lot of different generations of all those applications. And as usual, as you probably know, when you're running your on-prem infrastructure, you have like typical challenges with flexibility, with the ability to procure necessary hardware, ability to find people who can run that hardware, people who can onboard new technologies for you, etc., etc., etc. How to scale your infrastructure. So all those challenges, they are quite common. Those challenges are pretty standard for any enterprise, but at the same time, we had one very unique elephant in the room, that is Russia's full-scale aggression. And at the beginning of 2022, when they started to hit our ground infrastructure, we had a really big challenges how to support operations of our businesses, and taking into account that we're talking about the critical infrastructure of the whole country. So we're feeding we're feeding Ukraine, and for Russia that was very important to stop us. But for us, that was not the choice, and we started to think about how to secure the infrastructure, and that was the thoughts about migration into the cloud. So what we had at that moment of time.
Oh, that looks really familiar.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably in a textbook, right? The typical Microsoft-based solution.
Yeah, correct. So this is we are not unique within the industry, and we utilized the architectures, classic 3T architectures with most of the companies who started like 20 years ago. The IT, that was a very familiar stack with Windows servers plus Microsoft SQLs.
But what I see now is actually it's not exactly 3-tier. You have database stretching up and down, right?
Yeah, correct. And that is one of the beasts we have in our IT landscape. By the way, do you know why how it is possible for SQL Server to be both at the data layer and at the business logic layer? Yeah,
Stored
correct,
procedures,
correct.
right?
You know that problem. Yeah, of course. That is a stored procedures, and a lot of logic is written and hidden within those stored procedures. And we all know that is a very difficult part of your software. And if you are coming from the modern approaches and you're starting to work with stored procedures, it's always the challenge how to align those two epoch of software development. So that was our typical architecture covering majority of our solutions, and we started to look for migration options, and we came to AWS.
Yeah, so typically when customers are looking for the ways how to migrate everything into the cloud or some part of it, we always start talking about migration as a journey. So it's not a one-time thing. It's a thing which is progressing in time and which starts with something. And usually, like before any cloud usage, customers are starting with the initial steps, which basically look like we take what we had already and we move them to the cloud, assuming that that's a customer that already had some infrastructure available to them. And then only gradually with adoption of more dedicated cloud services, more high-level cloud services, customers are going through optimization phases, and essentially the further they are in the migration, the more benefits they are getting. Because in order to fully utilize cloud benefits and to essentially get them, you need to not just move your servers into the cloud, but start modernizing them, start scaling them up and down, start optimizing them, and start using higher level services. Moreover, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Eventually, when we are advising our customers how to do migration properly, we say that for every application or for every, let's say, cluster of application, group of applications, you have to define a migration strategy, which means that for different applications, depending on their criticality, on their technical complexity, on the idea if you own this application and build it yourself, or it's a legacy app that you have purchased, third-party app, and so on, you decide what to do with them. And we have this idea of 7 Rs, different strategies, what you can do with applications. Something like retiring, if you decide you don't need this in the cloud anymore, through replatforming or rehosting, like, and so on. And based on all these options, you eventually define a plan for your migration. So you have to cover all different options and decide for which application or for which system you will go which way. And although the options are different, so there are many of them, in reality, what we see that big part of the infrastructure is still either being lift and shift, so just migrated as is, up to 40% normally, and plus 20% more are going through some sort of replatforming, meaning that, okay, if you had, let's say, Oracle database on-prem, you may want to utilize RDS for Oracle in AWS, but it doesn't change anything in the source code of your application. You have Oracle on-prem, or you have Oracle in the cloud. And it's pretty large part of this infrastructure that is not actually modified along the way. That's why we say that during the migration, it's only it is only successful if it is followed by further modernization pipeline. And when we say how do we start, we say, okay, it's a three-step approach. We call it simple three-step approach, which starts from analyzing your infrastructure, then planning, and then executing. But just by the number of the icons on this slide, you may say it's not 3 steps and it's not that simple. Okay, that was the textbook. Now, Sergey, how did you do it eventually?
Yeah, okay, that was definitely not in a sequence, for sure. Despite the fact that on the screen you can see them as a sequence of steps. In reality, you do the stuff in parallel sometimes. And that is actually the beginning of our journey into the cloud. So we were not unique, and we were not in a position to experiment. So we took good advice from AWS and said, okay, let's start with the lift and shift and try to migrate as is into the cloud. So at that moment of time, we as a company had a very low expertise with AWS or in general with the cloud, but we had a huge expertise with VMware. So we were kings of VMware, and we decided to lift and shift what we had on-prem into the cloud, and then postpone the modernization to the second step. And we actually did that with the help of our partner. Our contractor was Temabit, and guys from AWS supported us heavily with making a strategy for the migration. So in general, the idea was pretty simple. Just take what we have on the left and move what we have to the right. But we had a lot of difficulties on the road because we had hundreds of VMs, terabytes of data, and all the jazz, which is related to the fact that distance between Kiev and Frankfurt, that is 2,000, almost 2,000 kilometers. So believe me, that is important. Can you guess why? Data, yeah, by itself, that's cool, but
I think somebody told latency already.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, latency, physics. Yeah, you can't break the rules of physics. So speed of light is finite, and in our case, that was like 40 milliseconds of delay of latency on each call. So within our infrastructure, when you have a Windows server with a business logic, which calls your database layer, yeah,
So it means
and each call that is plus 40 milliseconds.
So it means that you cannot separately move data layer and business layer.
Yeah,
So
that was a finding we realized quite soon. So at first we started with different POCs to better understand how we can arrange all this migration, how our infrastructure would look like, and that was the first problem we encountered. Okay, we can't move layer by layer, so it's necessary to slice the solutions and move them. But the second problem was, okay, we're talking about hundreds of applications. Application that could be, for instance, data warehouse, that is one application. So all those terabytes of hundreds terabytes data, that is one application. Or you can have, I don't know, inventory service that could be huge for such a system. That's, again, one line. And we have 350 lines of such applications. So it's huge. And plus, it is complicated by the number of businesses you have within the group. So each business asset, it is independent asset. So they have own business objectives, P&L, all that stuff, which really important for them. And the second challenge for us was how to coordinate all that story. We will talk a little bit later about how we were coordinating all this stuff, but at the moment, frankly speaking, at first that was scary. But in reality, that was quite easy. So after proper planning...
Technically, right?
Yeah, technically, mechanics was really simple. So there's various, you see, like spot two differences of the left and right part. There's AWS Cloud, and instead of VMware on-prem, you have VMware Cloud, VMC. And in reality, that was almost that easy. And all our expertise, our strengths of our team, we fully utilize because guys knows everything about VMware. And at that moment of time, that was very important for us. So that was quite quick operation.
Right. Was it so? Essentially, was it successful?
Yeah, that was definitely absolutely successful. And if we're comparing with our drivers, you can see like those batteries and the levels of charges. Our business security was the challenge with business security was managed. We were outside of.
That we can understand. That now, when your data is outside of Ukraine, now it's safe. Mm-hmm. But can you explain how the business grows? Was boosted in this scenario?
Yeah, for us that was our priority task. But in reality, we knew and we realized that from the very beginning, after this very simple migration into VMC AWS, we started to see a lot of advantages within the AWS. Most of them were around ability to utilize the broad ecosystem of services of AWS. So that's why we started to onboard new types of databases, started to onboard new types of AI services, all that stuff, which in our on-prem environment was very difficult to start to utilize. But the VMware like limitations for us were still quite strict, and that's why in general we were planning to migrate some part of the load outside of VMware and
Eventually.
eventually, yeah, and leave like legacy systems within the VMware. So in general, according taken into like if we're looking at the overall journey, so we were at the early stage with the lift and shift, and had a good plan how to migrate step by step the rest of the services. Part of the services would be left within VMware, part of them modernized, but that was a big plan, and we were about to start its execution. But
So essentially, you already started your journey, you already did some lift and shift, and ideally it would be like a pretty straightforward way to, let's say, we optimize them one by one, and then we move them separately to
and we had a
AWS.
plan like for 5 years of modernizing our applications. And
Then what?
and then we had the 2023, end of 2023, when Broadcom announced about new rules about the licensing. And we started immediately negotiations with Broadcom, and we were hoping to manage all those changes and make them comfortable for us. But frankly speaking, we failed. And Broadcom was firm in their belief that they are kings of that stage. But for us, that was not acceptable. Sorry, we're Ukrainians. We don't like when someone tries to force us to do something we don't want, and we didn't want to pay twice or bigger of the license cost we had previously. So we said, sorry guys, we're leaving you.
What options did you have eventually?
Yeah, we started to think about quick solutions, and Igor and his team were consulting us, and we were thinking about some quick solutions. So the problem for us at that moment was that we had 3 licenses with 3 contracts, with Broadcom, and one of those contracts was about to terminate in 1 week. So for us, the challenge was, okay, what we're going to do with 1 or 3 clusters in 1 week. And the quickest possible solution for us was, okay, let's go to EC2. And what's the beast that EC2? So we started to dig into details. So this is what we had at the beginning of this journey. So 3 big clusters of VMware, and the first cluster was of that size. So again, a lot of VMs, a lot of data, and that cluster was our core systems.
And you were lucky enough to say that this cluster was already within AWS, so you didn't have to face a lot of bandwidth limitations on the migration, but still you have to restructure and eventually move the VMs one by one, right?
Yeah, correct. So that was the challenge, how to plan that migration in such a way that we can manage that in a couple days. So that actually was the point where we started that 72 hours rush into the AWS native services. So what we did, we took top 5 our biggest services, which were in number they are few, but in their volume they are huge. So there are terabytes of data. Again, a lot of not too much VMs, but they're very powerful, and a lot of other VMs and services which are running on them. So we decided, okay, what we can do? We can move those core systems to EC2 and rehost the rest of the 2 clusters which will live with us for next half and plus year. Yeah.
But besides just moving the data, it looks like it again was not really technically complex. So what was complicated in this scenario?
Frankly speaking, it was quite straightforward because VM within VMware, VM on EC2, they very similar, same operating system, etc. Okay, networking, all that stuff, of course, different. But again, with guys from AWS, with our contractor, we managed to configure all the networks quite quickly, and that was a really smooth transition. Really smooth transition. Most important again most difficult part for us was not the mechanics of the migration, but the planning and coordinating that migration. Again, we're talking about the tens of the businesses, a lot of critical applications for them, and it is necessary to coordinate.
Mhm.
And we took this program approach when we had a program team with a program manager, program architect, plus beneath them we have a bunch of teams working for specific migrations, but the accountability for the migration was at the program level. And this pure, transparent, absolutely clear for everybody structure was, I believe, the key success for this project, because technically everything here is not difficult. It's quite straightforward. So
Yes.
in 3 days, these three teams in
Mhm.
24 for 7 mode, they actually migrated the applications.
So on one hand, you say that okay, so you didn't have time for the long-term migration preparation and so on. But then you say that although you had only 3 days to migrate, you still spent some time planning because you were sure that it will give you more control, right?
Yeah, correct. So the planning, that is a crucial factor in and crucial for all those migrations. Again, we uh, we we were prepared for that. We were ready to split the work in parallel modes. So that is about, then Igor was saying about, that is a assess, migrate, modernize. Yeah, in reality that is like in parallel happens. Yeah, and we did that. So from business point of view, that was extremely important for us to retain the sustainability of our network. So we migrated our core networks into retail networks into the AWS, like
Mhm.
800 plus stores. We ensure that we have no business interruption, so zero sales lost. And what was surprising for us, actually, we didn't increase radically the costs. So even despite the fact that at that moment we started to use native AWS services, the cost was almost the same.
I mean, I like how you say that you were surprised by that because apparently you expected that AWS will rip you off, right?
Yeah, because usually when you're talking about cloud, there are a lot of noise about the it is expensive, prices, etc. But in this case, that was not the fact. But what was more important for us, that immediately after that we started the cost reduction programs. So from AWS there are a bunch of tools which can assist you. Cost optimizer was one of the tools which I believe one of the best tools for us at that moment. So we quickly identified all the potentials for cost reduction. We started to buy cost saving plans, reserve instances, and in total we calculate that we have like minus 20 up to 30% of reduction in the cost due to those optimization. And most important, that is just the infrastructure optimization, not about the software refactoring.
So what next?
Yeah, cool question. Thank you. So where we're now? uh, at the moment, we completely abandoned VMware. So as we planned from the very beginning, we had 3 steps for leaving VMware. In the March 2025, we abandoned the last cluster of VMware together with termination of the license. So for us, that was very important because we didn't spend any extra money for VMware, and we didn't spend any extra money for AWS. So we just gracefully leave the VMware service and started to use EC2 instances. We did a lot of containerization. We moved a lot of data to S3 storages, managed DBs S3. That is, in general, really cool stuff for hosting your archives, for hosting analytics, etc. So that was one of the key points for us for cost optimizations. And at the moment, we building all our new solutions with the cloud native in mind, and that helps us to reduce cost even further. So in general, I believe that was a really successful migration, and as a result of this journey, we are in a much better position at the moment than we had before this migration.
Um, I like this. I like this chart, and there's something that caught my attention. I mean, this one. What about clear cost distribution.
Yeah.
Can you comment on that?
Yeah, thanks. That is a really interesting stuff for anyone who is within the enterprises. You know that
For
you have
business owners, essentially.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When you're talking about the finances in enterprises, usually there is a lot of merged or okay, there are a lot of merge infrastructure, or there are a lot of problems with an inventory of those infrastructure components. And what we had as a result of this journey, that is FinOps. So FinOps was for us a new word at that moment, and AWS did a lot of lecturing us how to
Yeah,
use it
tried our
properly.
best.
Yeah. So for them that is like a religion. We started adopt it a little bit step by step, of course, but FinOps, it is really cool stuff. So there are a lot of practical guidance examples how you can tag your infrastructure, and you have a really transparent costs. So you can attribute each and every cost for specific business which utilizes that infrastructure. And that was very important for us, because usually for business it's not a problem to, okay, let's say, not a, they are ready to pay, okay, but they are not ready to sponsor another business. So, and with the clear distribution of the cost which we took from AWS, that was really easy for us to talk with the business and explain why they should pay for that level of services, etc. And another.
So that's the kind of cloud benefit which is not very common to come first, because yeah, usually when people say why they are migrating to the cloud, they talk about some access to new services or better like elasticity of the cloud, that you have limited number of resources, you can scale up and down and so on. People rarely talk that you get more cost transparency than on-prem. But I think with proper adoption of FinOps, both Fozzy and all our other customers are able to also benefit from this cost transparency and make sure that you are very well aware like what every department is paying for and why.
Yeah, correct. That is absolutely true. So I'm not spending time on this typical benefits, but they are all true and they are all essential for any business. So time to market, ability to innovate, virtually unlimited infrastructure you can get access to. That is for on-prem data centers. That is impossible. So you all know this long cycles of procurement, etc. It's a nightmare. But here it's much easier. And for innovation, it's very important that usually your innovation starts with an idea. Then you're trying to find a consultant or professional who can advise you how to onboard the technology. Then you're trying to hire the professionals, the engineers who would run the technology. And only after that, if you're lucky and you have already hardware on your data center to run all that stuff, or if you don't, then you run the hell of procurement. And only after that, you're starting to utilize the benefits of a new technology. With AWS, you skip all those preliminary steps, and frankly, you're coming just to AWS, asking them, guys, can you help us with onboarding with this new technology? And effectively, you're almost ready to start to use that technology. That is extremely important for us. And I would like to point for one more benefit you're getting from AWS. That is a principal pay as you go. So in on-prem, with on-prem, you actually need to come to the business and ask for big capital investments. For any business, that is usually a big problem, because if your business is not IT by itself, in our case, we are mostly retail and around. Yeah, IT is not our business by itself, and that is the supporting expenditures rather than core. And it's always difficult negotiations around how much they can spend for improving these IT facilities, etc. But with AWS, again, you're focusing on operational cost. Effectively, all your capital investments, they are converted into operational investments. And for business, it's much easier. Okay, if I earn, I don't know, $1 and 1 cent I will spend for my infrastructure, okay, no problem. I'm ready because I earned $1. But if you're asking your business, okay, spend $1, before, or spend even 1 cent before you earn $1. That is the cycle of negotiation, and all that stuff is eliminated due to the fact that in AWS you pay as you go, and that is really cool stuff. Plus different optimization options from guys can consult always how you can reduce your cost with some upfront cost, but in total you're reducing your cost, and that's really important. So in general, we are somewhere here at the moment.
And
So
I think
we are.
if there are there are more than one places to be, because now I think so after you have done this migration, first of all you still have your other two VMware clusters, right? And you are like, what are you doing with them?
No. We don't have any clusters at all at the moment.
So you
So we
migrated them
abandoned
as well.
all the clusters. So at the moment we're happy native citizens of AWS. Not only AWS, frankly, but we don't depend on the VMware at the moment at all. So that's not the case for us anymore. We at the moment we're focusing on the parts of cloud native optimization. So we are we almost gathered all these low-hanging fruits with infrastructure. We still have programs for reducing the cost with infrastructure changes. Mostly they're about the optimizing the storages. So SQLs, S3, all that stuff.
But as you mentioned, so there is only that much of long-hanging fruits that you can optimize purely from infrastructure point of view. So because as long as you have like right-sized number of compute resources and right-sized storage, the next thing would be to actually modify the applications,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that's inevitable. So the bigger part of the cost reduction sits within the refactoring of the existing applications or building the new one, which would retire the old one and replace them. And but that is costly, as you know. Development is expensive. But that is where you really see the benefits and future opportunities. For us, that is not only about how to reduce the costs. Cost, that is part of the problem. We need to lay the foundation for our future. So we have a good history, we have a leading position at the moment, but we need to secure that position for the future and be able to run business quickly, to modernize business quickly, to make it flexible. That is important. And AWS gives us the right toolbox, which we can utilize to start the transformation. And transformation, that is a key word for us at the moment.
All right. So before we switch to takeaways, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So we already did. Actually, you already did the migration from VMC to native AWS two ways. First, you have this 72 hours journey, and then you have more or less planned approach,
Yeah.
right? So you tried both.
Yeah.
Which one would you like, and which one would you advise to go for?
Okay, I would definitely want to advise you to go with the with at each and every stage with the 72 hours rush. That's possible, but you still need a preparation for that. So that is like a top of the iceberg. Yeah, but the preparation work, that is essential and key for your success. I think that you must be reasonable. We try to be as reasonable and as practical as it possible. And in our case, as I said earlier, our schedule of migration was aligned with the end of contracts with VMware. In your case, for instance, there could be other business reasons which are crucial for you and could drive your migration. But in general, it is possible both way. Be quick, be with a, I don't know, comfortable way of migration. But that's possible.
But it also means that with this lift and shift, the migration doesn't stop, because even with your outcomes, you see already that okay, after this first wave is there and you have done infrastructure optimization, you still have a long way to go to make your systems truly cloud native, right? So
Yeah.
migration is a process. It doesn't end with actually moving servers, and it's also a continuous process. So even if you don't have on-prem resources at all, there is still always a place for optimizing, and so you can look for it yourself, or you can reach out to your AWS team, and we will help you to find the ways how to optimize.
Yeah, correct. I absolutely agree. That is a process, and it is a durable process. It's very important to understand that cloud is just one more tool within your toolbox, nothing more. It's just one more tool. and you must practice and teach yourself how to use that tool properly. And that is very important. It's very important to have the right people in the right place, to invest into your people education, to invest into hiring new people who would lead your existing people. That all stages we passed. And once again, I would like to mention that once again, FinOps. FinOps, that is a like a new word for everybody who is within the cloud. Because if you're coming with your steam engine into the new shiny electric facilities, it doesn't work properly. Yeah, it's from the different technology era. Yeah, and that's why the cost could be high. But if you're starting to accept cloud as just one more environment you need to adapt to and reinvent yourself within that environment, it becomes much more comfortable for you to pay for those services, to run those services, and it becomes more efficient for your business and opens a lot of new opportunities. For us, that definitely was a lot of new opportunities. And we knew, and we are really grateful to our partners who drive this transformation for us, that is Temabit and, of course, AWS team as well.
So, who are those Temabit guys?
Yeah, thanks. I would like to say a couple words about Temabit. Temabit, that is Ukrainian IT company. We are part of Fozzy Group, and that is one of our businesses, but that is single IT business. It has a pretty long history of operations, 10 plus years. We have 1,300 plus engineers on board. We have 100 plus certified AWS engineers. We have distribution of our engineers across Ukraine and Europe at the moment. And we have 20 proved records of launching the customers within the AWS. And this journey with Fozzy Group gave Temabit the unique experience and expertise with migrating complex big infrastructures into the cloud, and not only migrating but modernizing them as well. So we received a bunch of competencies from AWS as a proof that Temabit does really know how to operate those services of AWS. And at the moment, we in a tight cooperation with the AWS team running the project for getting the most sophisticated and complex competency, that is a migration competency. So we will have a proved record that we can do that for companies of any size. And that is really a good opportunities for both us and other business. And I believe.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, to sum up our talk, if you are bound by some sort of perception that migration from any kind of on-prem resources or even from VMware in the cloud is something really complex and unreachable, most probably that's not the case, because as you saw already, the technical challenges are not that big. So the main challenges are related in planning and orchestration areas. So it's more up to how you work with your teams, how you work with your resources, and how you plan it accordingly. And of course, if you want to pull off migration like that or something similar, please reach out to us, and we will help you along the way with every technical challenge you want to have. And now, also with regards to business challenges, I would like to invite Christoph, who oversees the migrations in EMEA from business side.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you, Igor. So I wanted to give you a bit of a perspective from my experience working with customers across the Central and Eastern Europe. I mean, you heard the story of Fozzy, you heard their challenges, you heard what were their outcomes, and the similar stories we are writing every day together with different customers for almost 2 decades. And for my key learnings, working with the customers, is that migrations is not only about technology, and I would say that probably the people pillar and is even more important. So, I mean, you need to get the buy-in of your teams, you need to get the buy-in of your management, you need to show what's their benefit, what in it for it. You need to enable your staff, and then the ultimate users. Also, migration is a transformation which allows you to adjust your business processes. Obviously, you need to adjust how you operate your environment, and you heard about it from Sergey and Igor. But it's an opportunity to streamline your business processes and maybe be a bit more competitive and agile. And last but not least, of course, this is also a technology. This is a technological exercise where you are getting the access to the innovative tools and services, which will help you being innovative, agile, and robust. And in AWS, we developed a program which will help you in migrating to the cloud. I mean, that's the program we built and we are running for for almost 10 years, which is our absolutely flagship program, which helps you tackle the challenges potentially you may face, and it helps you getting into your business outcomes. It stands on 6 pillars. It's a methodology which was leveraged by Fozzy, and that the 3-step assess, mobilize, and migrate. Then there are the tools which are available to you to accelerate the migration, to automatize it, to de-risk the migration, to just make it leaner and faster. Then there are partners like Fozzy, they leverage Temabit. We have a group of verified, vetted partners with a long experience of doing the very large migrations. So I really encourage everyone working with the partner. Unless they do not want to work with the partner, you can also choose our own services. Then in the program, we are having trainings because it's extremely important that you are comfortable continuing in the cloud. You can operate it. It's not a black box. You are getting the knowledge necessary. And last but not least, there are some investments, and we as AWS, we invest into those migrations to help you cover the initial migration costs, to help you lower the TCO, to make it just more appealing to you. And outside of the migration acceleration program, it's very good to mention we are also having optimization licensing assessment. It's called OLA. So the OLA is the program where you can understand better your licensing position and maybe optimize your licensing. And I also encourage to work with our cloud economics team, which will help bringing the comprehensive business case so you will know better how you will run in the cloud, what will be your cost, what will be your productivity gain, and they will also help you quantify it, so to convert it into money. And why it makes sense to work with MAP? Our experience shows that the customers who are using MAP, they are more productive, they are more agile, and they are simply saving more money.
What is also maybe important to mention is that all those OLAs and all those engagements are actually free for the customer. So
yes.
It's not something that we ask you to pay for.
Yeah. The one thing which MAP will not address, it's the sponsorship. So our learning is that it's very good to have a very strong sponsor. I mean, the sponsor preferable on the C-level, so that is something prioritized, that it's important for the organization. It's not just a isolated IT exercise. It's pervasive. It spans across the organization. You are getting resources, you are getting focus, and you are getting support from your business leaders, and it really helps. So finally, once you are having the sponsorship, you think that you are ready to start. What are the next steps? So first of all, start with assess. The first step in the entire migration journey is to understand your position, is to learn what you can get, is to learn what are the necessary steps you need to address. It also helps you understand where are you with your skills and what the gaps you need to address. Then, once again, I encourage to get the partner, like Temabit for Fozzy. We have a group of partners across CE, also in Poland, who are ready to help you with the migration. Decide on the migration strategy and approach, what Igor was mentioning, the 7R, and you also create the timelines, so you exactly know what you do. You identify what applications you are migrating, how and when. And last but not least, I do really encourage to leverage our programs. I am available here after the session. I will be in the migration booth. We can continue this conversation, but we are investing into those migrations. A lot of the things you are getting free of charge, so please do not hesitate to talk to us.
Right. Thank you. We hope it was useful for you. If you like, please give us a feedback. If you scan the QR code in the top right corner, with the AWS Events app. And thank you very much. We are here, we are around. So if you would like to ask some questions, just reach out to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time. Good luck. See you.